Kia ora everyone, I hope you're well. In today's video I want to tell you about something that happened 7 or 8 years ago, and you might be thinking, okay, that's some time, why talk about it now? And I actually did film a video closer to the time, but much like many of my previous videos from my previous channel, it never saw the light of day. And I don't know, for some reason it's just been on my mind for the past week, so I thought I would share the details with you in an informative, hopefully entertaining way. And I do think there are a lot of learnings to be gleaned, so I thought I'd just kind of discuss some things that I think could be helpful for you if you're in a similar situation. This is the story all about how the pet groomers tried to gaslight me and then failed miserably. Now, I have seen a lot of terminology thrown around kind of flippantly online. The term gaslight especially. So just as a reminder, I have the definition here. You can see it's lighting up my face. Gaslight. Manipulate someone using psychological methods into questioning their own sanity or powers of reasoning. I just want everyone to keep that in mind as I tell you this, because looking back, I am still in disbelief that this happened. Here's how everything went down. One day I took our family dog to the groomer and I thought, this is great. It'll work out really well because I'll drop him off, I'll go hang out with my cousin for a little bit because she was close by, and then I'll come back when he's ready to be picked up. Now, one thing I do want to say is when I brought him in, he was taken straight in for grooming. There was no time for conversation. Remember that, because that's going to be important later. So, dropped him off, spent some time with my cousin, was notified that he was ready to be picked up. Cool. So, I go to the groomer, I pick him up, and I can't remember, somewhere between the groomers and the car, I noticed that his eye was really red, which wasn't the case when I brought him in. So I took him to the car, left him just to chill with my cousin for a bit, and I just thought, no, this isn't right, I need to address this. So I go back in, and I have a chat, and what I'll do is I'll just kind of assign letters of the alphabet so you can kind of keep track of who the people are. So we have Groomer A, Groomer B, I'll just call them A and B. So I go up to A and I point this out to her, say, hey, I just noticed that, my dog, his eye, it's looking a little bit red, and it wasn't like that when he came in. And she said, yes, it was. And I was just like, that's not true, Ellen. And it just so happens that I had a photo of him before he had been groomed. I need to point out as well, I didn't do that as like a gotcha moment, anticipating that there would be a problem. I think we just always did that, it's nice to have a before and an after, so you have like a scruffy picture and then an after picture where they look all clean and beautiful. So I have this photo, right? I have it here on my phone. I show her the photo, and it's a little bit difficult to see because there's some fur in the way, but I show her, I say, well, I zoom in, and you can see, like, I have evidence that the whites of his eyes were white and not red. I show her this photo and she doesn't really acknowledge it because it's devastating to her case. And this is where B gets involved. A beckons to B and says, hey, his eye was like that before. B says, yeah, I did notice that actually. Yeah, his eye was definitely red when he came in. I wanted to tell you, but there was not really an opportunity. This was a detail that I'd forgotten, but I had seen in the email that I'd sent, which we will get to a little bit later. But yeah, this is what he had said. Oh, I did notice, but there wasn't an opportunity to tell you, which I don't feel is the case. I feel there could have been, you know, say for example, if he had noticed, okay, well maybe give me a call, let me know. There's options, I guess, is what I'm saying. So both of them are straight up lying to my face, telling me, no, it wasn't like this, or rather, I'm incorrect. Yes, his eye was red when he came in. You know, as far as they were concerned, case closed. And I just shut down at this point, because, you know, if you've ever experienced this, I know everyone reacts in a different way, but I was kind of in shock, and I sort of just, you know, when I was there, I think this is really important to point out, I was very calm. I explained the details, you know, I said, well, here's the photo, it definitely didn't look like that before, and that really, just the conversation, it you know, I wasn't going to see a resolution at the time. Before I leave, A says two more things. One, that, oh, you know, there's a lot of fur in the way, so I just probably didn't see it. And the second thing is, well, it could probably be cherry eye. Even though this happened a long time ago, it still makes my blood boil, because a couple of things. Like, the implication that, oh, I just didn't notice, I'm not very observant, I don't pay close enough attention to my pets, I don't care for them properly, that seemed to be, that was the implication to me, right? Now, cherry eye, what is that? I actually hadn't heard of it before, and I'm on a page I found called VCA Animal Hospitals, and there's a couple of things I want to read you, because this is very important to the story, right? So, cherry eye is a common term for prolapse or popping out of the third eyelid gland. Okay, so that's what it is. Now, for what are the signs? A cherry eye appears as a red swollen mass on the lower eyelid near the nose or muzzle. Another important detail, any signs should be brought to your veterinarian's attention immediately. Okay, so it's quite serious. The last thing that I wanted to read you is treatment involves surgical replacement of the third eyelid gland. It is essential to treat the condition as soon as possible. I clearly remember at the time I had looked into cherry eye, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, as you can tell, this sounds super serious. The other detail about the story is the grooming was scheduled for a Friday, and it's like, oh my gosh, well, does he need to go to urgent care? You know, all these things are going through my mind. But I reminded myself that I have photographic evidence. When I brought him in, the whites of his eyes were white. When I brought him back out again, one of the whites of his eyes was red. Like, those are the facts. So, you know, when we're talking about gaslighting, you know, I was really questioning my reality, but I'm like, no, these are the details. These are the facts of the situation. It boggles the mind. It truly does. Man, when I left, I was seeing red. Pun intended. I truly speechless. I think that's the best thing to say, because it just got to a point in the conversation I thought, okay, we'll end things here, but no, this is not over. So I go with my dog to my cousin's place, and he really enjoys that. Honestly, he I think he got a biscuit as a treat, which he thoroughly enjoyed. He was exploring a new place. I think the reason I didn't completely lose my rag is because he just seemed pretty happy and pretty chill. So I'm like, okay, that's a good sign. So, what happened next? Well, when I got home, I told my mum about everything that had happened, and while everything was fresh on my mind, I started composing an email to send to the groomers. I knew that they wouldn't see it until Monday, but I just thought, okay, if I get this sorted now, then we can kind of set everything in motion. And this is where we kind of get into the learnings side of things. I had done this sort of thing before, so I felt, pretty confident in terms of wording everything. If you do ever find yourself in a similar situation, I really encourage you to take the emotion out of things as much as you can. Putting things in writing is really good because then you have a physical record of everything. And essentially what I did is I just walked through the series of events, everything I've just told you, and I also peppered in some compliments as well. I said, we're really happy with how he looks, so beautiful, he really enjoyed his treat, like the hamburger method, compliment, bad thing, compliment. And I just feel that it's really important to conduct yourself in a professional way, even outside of a work setting, because it just means that hopefully all the parties involved can work towards a resolution that works out for everyone. In addition, you will notice that I said I composed a message to send directly to the groomers, because I'm of the belief that that should be the first step. I feel like, especially nowadays, there's this really knee-jerk reaction to immediately go to social media, and I don't think that's always helpful or the best option for a lot of reasons. And even now, right? Even now, I'm not mentioning who the organisation is, and I never will. The reason being is because I can think of 2 YouTube videos. Now understand, obviously right now, as I'm filming this, when I upload it, at the present day, I have 8 subscribers and not many views on my videos. So me saying things is not really going to have much of an influence, much of an impact. But there was one YouTuber I remember, oh my gosh, she shared her horror story about this awful apartment that she was living in, and she was getting really heated. And the details that she was giving, it provided the audience enough information so they figured out what the place was, because she didn't mention it in the video. And a bunch of them, I guess in an act of solidarity, they left a bunch of negative reviews for the place. And she'd made an update saying to everyone, like, hey, I get where you're coming from and you're trying to help, but like, this was my situation, like it happened to me, it didn't happen to you, And another one I can think of, another YouTuber who, I guess maybe for a convention or something, she'd gone to a hotel, didn't have a great experience. I don't remember all the details, but bottom line is a similar thing happened. I think there were a lot of audience members, a lot of fans had left some not so great reviews on the hotel. So I think it's really important from an influencer perspective, someone who has a big platform, not that I do, but I don't know, maybe if one day I do, and if people come back to this video, I don't want people to be, posting a bunch of bad reviews and this is the other thing I said in my email. I said, if you go to this particular groomer, like, they have a lot of positive feedback. So I don't know if my situation, it was just an outlier. I hope so. But it's, yeah, I don't want, thinking of like a hypothetical situation, I don't want to one day have a platform and have a bunch of fans going and leaving negative reviews on an organisation, when we're talking about a story that happened 7 or 8 years ago. I think if the groomers had ignored everything or didn't handle things that well, okay, then I think social media, you know, escalating things is sometimes necessary, but in this case, it wasn't. I was quite happy with how everything worked out because, like I say, I sent the email on Friday and I got a response super, super early on Monday morning just to let me know, okay, thank you for letting us know. We have escalated this to senior management and we will, we'll keep you in the loop and let you know how we're kind of progressing with this. Now, I don't have the exact wording of what was said because it was my mum's contact number and I think a manager had called her, they had a chat. So my second-hand understanding is, yep, you could very clearly see, I just felt so validated, like you could see in the photos that the white of his eye was white, and then afterwards it was not. And additionally, I think they said, okay, hopefully everything heals, but if he does require vet treatment, we will definitely pay for that. Also, lastly, they had a conversation with the groomers. What that entailed, I don't know. Will they learn from it? I don't know. Have they learned from it? Do they still work there? I don't know. But it was just, I think it was all kind of wrapped up quite nicely. Yes, there's still a few frustrations. My hope is that they didn't do that to anyone else, and hopefully that conversation with management was the wake-up call they needed to not try and gaslight people. So yeah, that was my story, and I'm really interested to know, has something similar happened to you? It doesn't necessarily need to be the Pet Groomers, it could be another organisation in a completely different industry. It's just, I know I'm not the only one that this would have happened to. And I guess the last thing that I'd end on is, don't give up. Really back yourself, because looking back, truly, I could have just dropped it. I could have decided, okay, this is too difficult. I don't want to proceed with this any further. But I think the thing about me is, I remember I had a workmate who said to me once, she was like, I feel like I just have a really strong sense of justice. And I'm like, I feel the same way too. So I just could not let it slide. And you shouldn't either. If you had or are having or know of someone who is having an issue like this, just I don't know, take this as a sign to not back down and, keep going till you get the result that you want. Before I wrap things up today, I wanted to try something new, or new for me at least. I've definitely seen other YouTubers do this, so, there goes my voice. There's definitely a sign to sign off. I've definitely seen other YouTubers do this. I'm certainly not the first one to do it. But I really like the idea of linking a video of the day. Maybe it's something new I've seen, or maybe it's something old, whatever. Just something that kind of takes my interest. So this week, it is a video that Anne Reardon uploaded, and it's all about the history of Betty Crocker. And funnily enough, it kind of has elements of, manipulation, making things up. So I thought it was kind of on theme for the story I talked about today. So yeah, I will link that in the description, and it's super interesting. I'd recommend giving it a watch. Cool, that's it for me today, and I will see you next time. Bye.